Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Slamcast. I'm your host, Greg. Let's get this motherfucking shit show a-rolling. Yeah, I'm starting it off big this week, folks, even though no real reason for that. I hope you're all having a great day, great week, great whatever. Hope you're all nice and relaxed as you're tuning in. I'm just getting nice and comfy right now while we get into the zone. But yeah, I guess we'll just get started. Just quick thing I want to mention. Next week, for the few listeners who listen weekly, I appreciate you. First off, I'm going to say that. Appreciate your presence. But also next week probably won't be having an episode of the Slamcast going up. The main and only reason being I have an deferred exam that I have to write 2 weeks from now. So next week will be the last weekend I'll get to study. So I might not, even though it's only a half hour of my time, I might not do it, mainly because I'll probably be too stressed out and thinking that I won't have time to do it. But if I get enough studying done on my normal recording day, and I think I could do it, I'll go through with it. But just a heads up for all you weekly listeners, probably won't be one. I've kind of already made my mind up about that. But, you know, things can change. I might be able to go through with it. Figured I'd just get that out of the way now. So, in case you don't listen to the whole thing, you'll at least be able to hear it right at the beginning. So this week's discussion's going to be over one general topic. Not necessarily a downer topic, but don't expect me to be getting heated about anything this week. No funny, goofy, me getting pissed off about something this week. Because I feel like this main topic kind of fires off a bunch of other subtopics, so I might be able to keep the discussion going for the normal recording time. And if it doesn't and I end it early, if anything, that's beneficial for me, because uploading to YouTube takes forever. Just for any of you curious about uploading large video files up to YouTube, it takes a long time. I'm sure that's also due to my internet, but my internet isn't too bad. The upload speed's pretty decent. Anyways, I'm just rambling at this point, but that's part of the program, isn't it? So when was it? Earlier this week. I want to say it was Monday. Maybe it was Tuesday. I feel like it was Monday though. And it's been happening for the last month or so. It's more of a campaign, but Monday is when it really took off. Bell did I'm assuming it's yearly now, because I remember they did it last year. Oh, excuse me. Bell is doing their yearly Let's Talk campaign. As far as I can tell, it's a campaign about mental health issues and the stigmas towards mental health, and how we should all sort of pay closer attention to mental health and other people's mental health, and how we got to take care of that, and et cetera, et cetera. And they also do this really awesome thing, probably one of the few things that probably the only thing that I actually really appreciate from Bell, because let's be honest, Rogers and Bell, and apparently TELUS, apparently those are the major three telecommunication companies in Canada, even though from my perspective it's probably more just Rogers and Bell. They're kind of giant assholes. Their customer service is shit, and the amount we pay for internet's pretty fucking garbage, and I could get into a whole thing. That's another topic for another time. One of the few things, possibly the only thing that I truly do enjoy about Bell as a company is this Let's Talk campaign, and the thing they do for one day where you tweet or share or something to do with the hashtag Let's Talk, and for every like tweet with the hashtag or every time you share the image or an image, if you see it like on your Facebook or something, they donate 5 cents towards some form of mental health charity. And this year, I remember last year, as far as I could tell, maybe it's because I was at school. Was I at school? Yeah, I must have been. So maybe that's why I didn't see it. But I was seeing a lot of actual television commercials about their campaign, which I thought was pretty awesome, and they're pretty, I wouldn't say powerful, but they're fairly good in terms of marketing and just getting the message across, kind of thing. At least based around the stigma towards mental health issues. So yeah, I think it's actually really awesome, because I remember last year the sharing and the tweeting and the retweeting and all that stuff went pretty nuts, and this year I feel like the same sort of happened. So I figured I'd give my input on it, because why not? But then that got me thinking about other things, mainly in the mental health realm, or just mental health in general. And the reason I'm so behind it is because I honestly feel as though mental health is one of the few forms of health that is very much on the back burner in today's society. And I'm hoping society is able to sort of shift to include that into our daily lives, kind of keeping yourself mentally healthy, especially with the last 5 to 10, maybe 15 years. The whole, maybe not 15, but 5 to 10 at least. The craze, put that in quotes, craze about, physically fit and eating all the right foods and yoga and going to the gym and all that stuff. I feel like it's really become a thing, at least with healthy eating. So I'm kind of hoping within the next 10 or 15 years, hopefully sooner, 5 years, we'll also see a sort of spike towards wanting to keep mentally healthy as opposed to physically healthy. And some stores that are about physical health kind of promote it. Like, I feel like Lululemon is kind of like that. I don't know, their bags always have like good messages on them and stuff. It's obviously in the right direction. It's not like the full sort of reach, so to speak. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can kind of reach that same point like we do with physical health, where it's like, oh, go to the gym, eat all the good foods, drink all the good foods, that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of worried, because I feel like one of the main reasons it's become such a big thing in our society is because it makes money. At least because it became such a craze, it made money, and now people are kind of sticking with the lifestyle. So now it's this whole healthy lifestyle is keeping a steady revenue, as far as I can tell. I'm not in that business, so I wouldn't be able to give you the exact numbers, but you know what I mean. And I feel like it would be kind of hard to kind of bottle up and sell mental health. You know what I mean? Like with physical health, it's like, you got the right attire, you got the food, so it's like a daily thing. You want your daily dosage of good food. Gym memberships, working out at home, all this kind of stuff. It's just a whole thing, right? There's a whole business behind it. So I don't know how you'd be able to bottle up and sell sort of the idea of mental health, because at least as far as our society, or at least as far as, I guess I want to say, science has come, there's not really any sort of definitive sort of ways to stay mentally healthy besides like somebody like a therapist or a psychiatrist or something along those lines. And how do you bottle that up, honestly? But I still believe it's like, going back to what I was saying earlier, I still think it's a very important thing that we have to focus on. It's like I said earlier, it's very much on the back burner. We kind of have always been brought up in the society kind of to never really, as far as I can tell, maybe it's a male thing coming from a male perspective, but you're supposed to, kind of more or less keep it all in and only let it out, I don't know, with people that you trust or something along those lines. Don't want to make a scene, don't want to bum people out kind of thing. So there's always this kind of like need to sort of mask it, sort of, probably lack of a better term, at least in some situations. And I feel like if we had the resources, because I feel like that's also the problem, I feel like everybody should weekly or monthly get a sort of mental health check. Like once a month or twice a month. Maybe even once a week if you're having a bad few months or something, like just feeling extra shitty. Kind of go to a therapist or psychiatrist or something, kind of just let it all out. That being said, how many psychiatrists and therapists are there for the 7 billion people on the planet? Or to scale it down even farther, the 33 million people, 34 million people in Canada, or however many people there are in America, which is way more than the population of Canada. But, I feel like it's important. And I also feel like I wouldn't have such a strong stance on it. Like, I obviously have a strong stance on it, but I feel like it's stronger this week than it would be. Because I know friends and I know people who suffer from mental health and just anxiety in general. We all got stress, we all got anxiety, and it builds up and it gets to us kind of thing. Like, we've all seen a friend or family member kind of stress out, and it's not the best because we don't have there's no clear way in people's day-to-day lives to kind of let that out, you know what I mean? And I feel like I wouldn't have such a strong opinion about this had it not been for, and I'm just going to say it because I'm really feel like I'm kind of holding myself back from saying it, but I had sort of a panic attack or anxiety attack. I guess it was a week ago, or about a week ago at this point. Was it? No. Yeah, I guess it was. And yeah, it was really shitty. And I've had a few of these over the last few years of my life. And I've kind of never really thought anything of them, but this one lasted a lot longer than possibly any of them that I've ever had, so it really kind of freaked me out this time around. And I've been pretty anxious about it, which, kind of redundant. If it's an anxiety attack, makes you anxious. It's, it's a pretty cyclical pattern there, which is kind of shitty. But just to clarify, I've talked to my old family doctor about this, and he got some blood work done just in case, but he said it's most likely an anxiety thing, and I'm planning on seeing a new family doctor, and I'll bring it up to him after this recent incident. But essentially what it is there's no real warning or heads up or anything, but suddenly, even if I'm extremely relaxed, just doing whatever, and it rarely ever happens when I'm actually stressed out, is my heart kind of just more or less explodes, like a light switch. It just kind of suddenly goes from like relaxed normal heartbeat to like 180 BPM, kind of that general area. I'd say like probably 150 to 180. And it's like a steady, fast pace. And it also beats extremely hard, which is like pretty terrifying. And then suddenly it'll just go away. It's not like it slows down and goes back to my normal heart rate. Like it literally just, as quickly as it came to be, it just kind of shuts off. And I've had this incident very irregularly. Like I don't have any sort of pattern or any way to sort of get it going. It just sort of happens. So yeah, something just anxiety over the last few months because of school and whatever probably just built up, and then it just kicked off for whatever reason. The worst part about it was I was at the gym. I was just finishing up my workout routine, and I've never had it happen at the gym. So these last few times I've gone to the gym, I've been kind of freaked out thinking it's going to happen again, and it hasn't. And I'm kind of glad I've been going to the gym anyways because I've kind of been able to mentally fight it off. So yeah, I feel like if that hadn't happened over the last week, I wouldn't feel so strongly about it. And I'm going to get it checked out, like I mentioned. It's the first thing on my list. But it's shitty, you know? It's just really shitty. And I have no way of controlling it. And, you know, hopefully it goes away. And I'm sure it will. I won't realize it's away. Like, honestly, I can't even remember the last time I've had an episode like this. At least, I think I've had it once or twice, but it's only gone for like a second. Like, I felt my heart beat fast, like one or two beats, and then I'll just like kind of force it away kind of thing. Like, mentally kind of just push it back. And also, I have to mention, the reason why this was so bad was my heart was going like this for like 45 minutes. Which is the longest I've ever had it go for. I don't know how long. I've never really kept track of how long it's happened, but you know, that's kind of freaky. But I'll get it checked out, and it's probably just a stress anxiety thing, so I just gotta, I gotta relax. But, it's terrifying, so it's understandable. It's like, I don't know. Anyways, that's what I'm saying. I got issues like that. People have issues that are way worse, which I can't even fathom. And, like, just only barely understand them because of the situation I go through. But that's, like, it's physical with me, and then it freaks me out because my heart's like feels like it's gonna explode out of my chest, but it doesn't. Thank God. But to have a similar effect, but like on your brain, like how does one even comprehend that? How does one even start to understand that a person can't function properly because suddenly they'll be out and about, and then their brain will just flick a switch that just says, "This situation is terrifying," or like, I don't even know. Like, is that what your brain does? Is your brain just convince you that something's different? Like, how does that even work? I can't even understand it. That's why I feel like, if you're listening out there and you feel like, hey, I've felt pretty shit, or felt pretty stressed out, feel free to talk to somebody about it, like a family doctor or a family member or somebody. Like, I think this family doctor, if and when I see him, I might see if he can hook me up with some sort of therapist or something. That's another thing too. It's funny. I've been thinking about that a lot. And like, the first thing that comes to my head when I think about it is like, oh, this is going to inconvenience me so hard because like now I'm going to have to take like an hour or two out of my day to go see this person who's going to help me probably in some way and make me feel better. But 2 hours out of my week or out of my month, and that's inconvenient. It also is completely not changing subjects, still similar subject. From what I've heard from people I know with these kinds of issues and stuff, I'm getting the impression that I don't know if it's the government or if it's the health system or if it's just sheer coincidence, but it seems like we don't have enough like therapists and psychiatrists to help out just people who actually really need it. Like I'm like a mild case at the most, but like severe cases, it seems like even then it's like, oh, there's nobody available for me right now, or oh, I have to change I have to change psychiatrists or therapists because of reasons, and it's like that's so shit. Like you need the help and you can't even get it because of reasons that are out of your control. Shit out of luck, and it's like, damn, that sucks. Oh, hold on. I want to make sure I get all my points out. Yeah. Which brings me back to another thing. This actually kind of comes full circle. So I think I'm going to start taking up meditation. Because of all of this that's been happening. And just been thinking about mental health and whatnot. Because I watched a video a while back. And it was this guy explaining that on a reputable channel on YouTube, explaining that there's been scientific evidence that meditation actually helps the brain, and they compared brains of people who don't meditate with people who do meditate, and they noticed there was one gland, can't remember the name of it, but it was bigger for people who meditated compared to people who didn't meditate, and that whole gland was mainly focused on just, like kind of focusing and thinking about the now, like not the past or the present, but just focusing on you in the moment. And I feel like that, and it just simple like meditation through like just simple breathing techniques, just like focusing on one thing and just breathe in, breathe out kind of thing. And that gland, after doing it for however long, like showed increased size. You know, if there's science behind it, and I always feel like when I stress out, I'm thinking about the future mainly is stresses me out, and I feel like a lot of people share that sort of stress. I feel like that could really benefit me as long as I stick to, even if it's weekly. Like I'm already doing this weekly, and this is a half hour, so what's an extra 5 minutes of meditating a week? You know? Shouldn't be too hard. So I feel like meditating, just simple breathing techniques could really benefit me if they do help out and increase this gland in the brain. So, you know, if you're stressing out, try meditating, try breathing techniques, just something simple like that. Because like I said, it seems like there's not enough therapists and psychiatrists to go around, so maybe that wouldn't be too bad. Alright. Yeah. Alright. So another point I wanted to bring up, because, you know, been having such a happy-go-lucky podcast going on here. It's a happy show. We like to have fun. I like to giggle and laugh, and at others' expenses, because, you know, why not? I have this sort of mental list, well, two mental lists, but I have this sort of mental list, and it's a bit of a joke mental list, but I feel like there's some slight truth to it, at least for me. I don't know if you people would agree with this, but it's essentially a mental list of not necessarily getting older. That's part of it, but it's more mental list of knowing that someday I will die. And it's a bit of a funny list, because the first thing on that list for me, and I don't know if any of you agree with this, but I feel like first thing on that list, there's only two things on the list so far that I can remember. First thing on that list is pooping blood. Yes, you know, had a lot of junk food. Your butt just can't take it. And I don't know why. This is the joke part. This is mainly a joke, but you know, butthole, it's secret. Jesus, I can't believe I'm talking about this. Butthole, it's a sacred part of your body, You've lived your whole life, and your butthole's just had one function, and, it's done that function well, and you grow up a kid, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go poop. This is Kid Gregory. I'm going to poop now. And then you poop, and you look in the toilet, and you're like, you know what, butt and butthole, you did your job. I appreciate you. You'll always be there for me. You always do your job, and I appreciate that. Suddenly, you go to college, start eating not so well. You go and wipe, and it's just a streak of red, and then you realize, oh no, even the most sacred part of my body has failed me. Death is imminent. I'm hoping, viewers, listeners, you hear me and you say, yes, Greg, I understand. I understand completely, because I feel like I'm maybe a bit of a madman, but, it makes sense to me. The rest of y'all can go screw yourselves, because it makes sense to me, all right? Sacred body part, and when I wipe and you see red, it just, doesn't feel good. And just to be clear, this isn't consistent. It's just when my diet goes kind of shit, and it's very irregular. You know how it is. You guys know how it is. Don't worry. I've double checked with sources. I'm fine. I'm not dying. I mean, it feels like I am when it happens because it's a sacred part of the body. But it happens. Anyways, second part on that list, which brings back to what I was talking about earlier. When you're going to your family doctor and you have a mental list in your head of all the things you need to talk to them about. Because talking about getting this new family doctor, I realized that I have a legitimate list of like 4 things that I actually want to talk to this doctor about because my body is breaking down on me and I will die. That's the mental thought process for me. Because, before when you're a teenager, when you're a little kid, you go to the doctor and like maybe your mom will like remind you of like something you got to tell them because your mother cares about you and worries about every little possible bad thing that happens to your body. But when you're a kid, it's like, there's nothing. There's nothing ever wrong with you. Doctor's always like, oh, feeling hurting anywhere? And you're like, nah. And he's like, okay, cool. And then when you're a teenager, maybe a few things start going weird because, body's growing hairs, funky places, etc., etc. And you're like, Doc, I got this issue right here. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, I'll hook you up. Drugs. And you're like, thanks, Doc, I'm out, peace. And he's like, yo. And you high five. And it's pretty cool. Now, freaking 22 years old, and I got a list of 4 things I need to talk about, all of which to some degree, I wouldn't say are severe. I mean, to me they're severe, but I honestly not. One of those things, like I mentioned, panic attack, anxiety attack stuff, whatever. But then you got 3 other things on there, and it's like, well, I guess my body's breaking down on me. I guess I'm going to die. If the podcast doesn't happen next week, I'm probably also dead. That's also probably the reason. I probably just croaked, face down in the dirt. I'll see you all at my funeral. My 3 ex-wives will probably be there, but they'll be happy if they're my ex-wives. But face down in the dirt, just eating shit, because my body's breaking down on me. So those are the 2 things, and I'm sure as I get older, that list will start to grow and grow. But, I'm hoping you guys agree with me on that, because personally I think those 2 points are very solid points as to why my body is breaking down on me, and someday I will die. And, you got to accept it. With life comes death. With gross baby birth comes, gross human death. It's a circle. Born looking like an alien thing, die looking like a dead thing. That's how it works. Die looking like a dead thing. Gregory Campbell, 2016. All right. That's about my entire list. Also, apologies to you listeners last week. I forgot to get rid of the microphone feedback. So there was a bit of buzzing last week on SoundCloud. I fixed it for the YouTube upload. But I apologize for that. I'll be sure to remember this week. before I upload it to SoundCloud so you guys aren't friggin' irritated to shit. That's all really I wanted to talk about this week, and I'm hitting the half-hour mark, which is beautiful, because, man, does uploading suck. So, have a great week. Have a wonderful week, folks. I might see you next week. I probably won't. But if I don't talk to you next week, get ready for a very special, very sexual Valentine's Slamcast. That's right. It's getting uploaded on Valentine's Day, so what else would I talk about for a half hour? Valentine's Day and everything to do with the loving. That's assuming that next week I don't have a Slamcast. All right, folks. Have a great one. Signing out.